How you doing, guys? My name is Eric. I'm a musician and at-home hobbyist, and when I have free time, I love making videos for you guys. So today, I am away from home on business, and I thought, well, I have free time. Let me put together a video I've actually had in my, to-do list for about 2.5 months. And that video is how do you get ready for an audition, whether that's in person or online when you submit a video for the church of your choosing. So I put together about 5 tips and some guide points to kind of go over with you guys. And I thought this would be a perfect time to get that out for you guys. So let's get started. The first tip is know the importance behind picking the right song or songs for your audition. So here's a couple guide points in this one. Pick the song that displays your strength as a musician. Now, here's a couple things. If you're a guitar player like myself, if you're going after rhythm, know how to play different variations of rhythm. Know how to play different chord types, a cowboy, triads, C shapes, F shapes. Know how to play them all up and down the neck. Know how to play variations, know how to play dynamics. If you are a lead guitar player, know how to play rhythm and also know how to subtly play lead when it's important and when to pull back. Those characteristics are super important, but you have to know what your strengths are and what to pick on a song. Second guide point is pick a song that's appropriate for the team that you're trying out for. Here's an example. If your church that you're going after to play a team with constantly plays slow melodramatic songs, do not pick a modern rock song. That will not go over well. They'll see that you are not fit for that team for one reason or another, and you're just not going to be in the right mold. If you go after a modern church, be prepared to pick a couple modern songs that maybe the church has played 1 or 2 times. It would be very helpful if you look at their website, Facebook, social media, anything that you can see some of their services on, and find a song that is relatively new that they've played. That would be a great mile marker for them to know, like, hey, he can pick it up quick, or she can pick it up quick. The next guide point in this is avoid playing songs that are outside of your skill set. Here's what I mean. If you are a relatively new player, don't go after a Lincoln Brewster song that plays dynamic and very hard guitar points, right? Pick a song that either A, is something that they've played before, and find a variation of that song that you can play. I promise you, no matter what songs you pick, there's about 4 to 5 different ways to play a song, and it's all about how you go after a record. Remember, in most of these worship CD songs, there's about 3 to 5 guitar tracks layered on top of each other. You just got to pick out the most important ones. Tip number 2 might seem the easiest, but I promise you it's overlooked. And number 2, we're going to practice. And that all starts with just listen to the song first, at least 5 times. Now, this is an important part too when you practice with the song. Don't practice with the pitch shift keys. Listen to the original track. At least by yourself, no instrument in your hands, just focus on your ears. I want you to pay attention to the dynamics of the song, how the instruments interact with the lyrics, with the singers. That'll help focus you in on maybe what tracks are relevant to the song, maybe some that are just there for fulfillment purposes. It might help you pick out what guitar effects you're playing, the setup, the rig, all that fun stuff. Think about what the song requires of the musician first. Then it'll help you guide you on maybe what tablature, what guitar chords you want to look at. It'll guide you on a different variations to what you need to listen for, because some songs are not the same if you miss the melodies. Now, the next guide in that is once you have all your guitar parts down, okay, you're going to want to record yourself and analyze how you're playing them. This is important because when you play on audition, whether it's on video or in person, somebody is watching you and they're going to might be recording you on what that looks like so they can talk about your performance later, possibly. If that's the case, pay attention to how you're playing. Can you play off of memory or do you have to look at the chord sheets? For some churches, there's no chord sheets, there's no iPads, no music stands. You're going to have to memorize it all. The other part is that do you look like you're having fun? Are you stressed out? Are you able to play and look up? All these little things are important on a performance. The last guide on this one is make sure you know how the song lyrics and how the parts go. There might be times where you practice a song the way the artist did it, and when you get into church, or maybe you might get a text message, and they decide to do a remix, or they chop up something, or they extend a version. These are important because you're going to have to memorize, know how to add to your audition, or maybe on the spot figure it out. So know the song inside and out. Tip number 3 is rather simple, but it's also an area where people have a lot of trouble with. Present yourself with confidence. What I would suggest is present yourself on the audition like it was your Sunday and you're going to be playing for the team. So that means dress for the part. Know what those dress standards are for that church and make sure you come dressed as such. Once you're in the team and you decide to come in sweats because that's what everyone comes in, they're comfortable, that's a whole different ballgame. But you are coming for an audition, so make sure you look the part because they're looking at, can this person be the fill-in on Sunday? The next part is make sure you arrive on time. Nobody likes you to be late, and there's nothing worse than a director wondering if you're going to be on time on Sunday. And if you have a lot of gear, make sure you show up enough time so you can set it up, do the audio checkup, and if there's issues, at least you have time to get those fixed, because there's nothing worse than trying to deal with audio-visual issues on the day of your rehearsal, or audition rather. So make sure you have enough time. Also, you're going to want to have a little bit of cushion room to get your stuff set up, interact, relax a little bit, get yourself unwound, shake your hands, thank them for the time for letting you rehearse, and kind of be personal in that moment. That brings us into our last guide point. Make sure you're able to look people in the eye and have a conversation, even if it's just to say, thank you so much for having me come out and audition. Because in the end, you are going to be a person that is representing the church. You're going to be on their stream. You're going to be on their stage. You might have people come up to you and ask you questions. And this is really an area that you need to be able to be personable on. Now, as most musicians and artists, we like to be in our own bubble. We don't like to talk to people, but this will be an area that you need to work on. Tip number 4 is this: things to consider during your audition. Here are some guide points I wrote down. Be aware of your posture and your body language. If you're someone who's trying to show that you're open and you are very, comfortable around people, crossing your hands and looking like this is not the best part. So make sure you keep yourself, your hands down. Make sure you're smiling. If you don't often smile, be aware of these little things about yourself so you can make sure you're aware of how and what you're doing at all times. Also, be aware of how you speak. If you're somebody who likes to drop the F-bomb or, says occasional swear word here and there, this is not the best point to let yourself slip. So I would highly suggest making sure you're aware of how you talk around people and you're aware of what you do and how you say things. That's not to say be fake around people, but it's also to be aware of becoming a better person in a sense on when you're on stage and you come off, they don't want you to look like you're a person who swears and says negative things and how you're acting. These are things they look at on this is being a person in my team. So be aware that that's also being evaluated. One of the last guide points in this key tip is you might be getting critiques from somebody. It might be the director or the drummer or the bassist. Listen to what they're saying and be quick to listen and slow to be defensive. If someone says, man, that sounds really distortion, can you turn it down? It might be distortion because of the PA. It might be you're playing too aggressively and it might be overpowering something. Just try it. Don't be combative and try it. If someone says, hey man, something was weird. If it was you, go ahead and say, hey, I was trying something new. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I wanted to try it. Be aware that during rehearsals or sometimes auditions, there might be ways that they want to see how they interact and see if they can knock you off your kilter. If they were to give you criticism, can you take it or can you be defensive? Essentially, can you be a part of their team? And if they were to ask you to do something for the team, will you do it? Final tips for success are these. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That might be if you thought you played the part well and you asked the director, hey, did you like what I played there? Did you want that louder? Did you I felt like I needed to play harder. Did you agree with that? Ask questions because it might show them that you're open to suggestions. And sometimes it might be you talking to the keyboard player saying, hey, that chord doesn't match here. What are you playing? I think I'm playing something wrong. That shows that you're open for connectivity with somebody else. Second guide point is make sure that you are showing yourself to be humble and have gratitude with playing with other folks. This stage is not meant for you. This stage is meant to show your gifts and bring them with a whole bunch of other folks to lift up Jesus and to play for a purpose for the body of the church, okay? This is not a point for you to show off and to say, I am the greatest guitar player of all time. You guys are lucky that I'm playing with you. I have all these skills. This is not this moment, okay? This is where you come together with a group of people who are worshiping together for a bigger purpose. And so make sure that you guys are humble in that, because there will be points that you as a player at some point mess up and you're going to feel like you have let the entire team down. And everybody has those moments. Nobody is perfect. And in fact, you are not the guitar player of that guitar track on that worship album. You are just a guitar player who loves music and wants to perform. And that's okay, but just know that mistakes happen and you're going to have to be able to recover. So everything is okay. The last tip, stay positive and believe in yourself. If in fact you don't get that first edition and they ask you to come back, don't close that door. Go ahead and listen to what suggestions are and then come back at a later time and try again. The biggest points I can tell you is that if you find the same person playing with the worship team over and over and over again, don't be afraid toward after the service or maybe before service, find that guitar player and ask them questions. Hey, how did your audition go? What did you do? How did you feel? What would you do differently? And, really pull on them to help guide you as a worship leader. And you'll be amazed at how much, their experience might guide you in the next step. And in fact, the people I did that with when I went on stage on my audition, I went on a rehearsal night. And so it really was like, hey, what kind of tone are you getting? I love that tone. And he was like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And during this part, I'm doing this. And lo and behold, about 3 or 4 months later, after I joined my team, somebody else was auditioning on one of my rehearsal nights and they were using my gear. And so instead of letting them fumble their way through the song, I said, hey, I will switch all the effects because I have it set up on my board. And this part is new to you. If you just play, I promise you I won't steer you wrong. I'll make sure I switch through the songs. And it was almost a kind of pay it forward moment that somebody gave me. So be aware that there's always times for you to improve. If you join right away, just know that that next performance and every type of performance afterwards, make sure you bring 1,000% to the team. Do not be one of these people who are perfect on the rehearsal and then afterwards just start trimming off. They're late. They don't put time into the acts, and when they come to rehearsal, they're not prepared. Don't be one of those people who just let it fade off. Make sure you're consistent with the team. All right, guys, so those are my 5 tips and guide points on getting ready for your worship edition, whether that's doing a video or doing in person. These auditions are so much fun, and I need you guys to know that in the end, there really is nothing but joy and love and being able to play skillfully and joyfully for the Lord. And at the end of it, just enjoy what you're doing. If you have any questions or tips, put them below. I hope these tips help you out. I'm looking forward to making some really cool content from you guys coming up, so stay tuned. See you later.